Okay, so I'm going to hook you with a story first, and then we're going to kind of jump into the topic. This might be a little bit of a long video, but really good history lesson. A black family in Louisville, Kentucky, where I live, named Andrew and Charlotte Wade. They wanted to move their family to the suburbs in 1954. Andrew was an electrician and a Korean War veteran. He was not unqualified to own a home. He was not broke, but every white realtor he went to refused to sell to him because they don't sell to black people. So they had to go around the system. A white couple, Carl and Ann Braden, they were left-wing activists, very vocal in their community about opposing Louisville's housing segregation. They buy the house for them and then transfer the title over. So they move into an all-white neighborhood in Shively, and almost immediately it starts harassment. The milkman stops delivering to them. The paper boys refusing to give them their newspaper. A stone with a racial slur written on it was thrown through their window. Gunshots fired into the house. A cross was burned outside. Police were stationed nearby. Like, it was just crazy. So then the white supremacists that were targeting them take it a step further and they blow up the house. They bomb the house. They put explosives underneath the child's bedroom, their 2-year-old's bedroom. Luckily, nobody was home, so nobody was harmed. The Wade family attempts to repair the home, but amid the continuing hostility, they eventually sold it at a loss and moved back to the inner city. The people who did this were not held accountable. The white couple who helped them buy the home, Ann and Carl Braden, along with 5, I think, other white supporters, were arrested and charged with sedition, inciting a riot. They were accused of hatching a communist plot to buy the home and blow it up and blame it on the white people in the neighborhood and spark a race war and overthrow the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Are you serious? No indictments were returned against any of the neighbors, even though some of them admitted to burning the crosses, openly being hostile. All of the indictments were against the white people who supported the Wades in attempting to buy their first home. So instead of punishing the people who committed violence, they punished the people who were challenging segregation. So when we talk about segregation and we're like, well, it's illegal now, so the black families should just move into better neighborhoods. This is what that actually looks like. You were not just buying a house, you were risking your life. And why this is important today is because the people who are my age that are black, their grandparents at that time were denied loans. So they rented their entire lives, never building equity, never owning anything. Then the people I'm talking about's parents, they inherit nothing from those grandparents. So they start from scratch. And now people my age from those same families are trying to buy homes with higher prices, higher interest rates, no generational wealth to fall back on because of policy that blocked their families from building it in the first place when houses were $8,000 back then. And what happened to the Wade family wasn't random. It's a bigger system that was designed to keep neighborhoods segregated. So we need to talk about redlining. Under Franklin Roosevelt, programs were created. There was Homeowners Loan Corporation and the Federal Housing Administration to fix the housing market after the Great Depression. On paper, it was supposed to make homeownership more accessible. Yay, everybody can get a house. But what they really did was they map ranked neighborhoods. They made green areas were considered safe investments, and then red areas were labeled dangerous. And if black people lived there, it was automatically red. So banks followed these maps. So white families got all the loans. They bought homes. They built equity, generational wealth. Black families were denied. They told them no. They locked them out of the main way that Americans build wealth for their families. That's what redlining is. And when people started fighting it in court, it didn't just end. There was Shelley versus Kramer first. The Supreme Court said that courts couldn't enforce racist housing contracts anymore. What that meant is these neighborhoods were basically putting clauses in their property contracts that said this home cannot be sold to a black family. So even if they wanted to sell to you, legally they couldn't because the contract said no. So what the court said is that in this case, judges can't step in and enforce those clauses anymore. That was the first step. But that didn't make discrimination illegal. It just meant that the government wouldn't help you enforce it. So then people could still refuse to sell to you, but they just didn't have to write it down anymore. There was another court case after that. Step 2 is Jones versus Alfred H. Mayer Company. They finally said that private discrimination in housing could be banned. And that same year was when the Fair Housing Act made it official. It took 20 years, multiple Supreme Court cases, and a federal law just to say, you can't tell black people they can't get a house. First, they were denied investment. Banks wouldn't lend, businesses avoided the area, property values dropped, schools were underfunded, the neighborhoods labeled undesirable. Then, decades later, these neighborhoods now, in my day and age, are like up and coming. These white developers are moving in. These new businesses are popping up. Property values shoot up. They're buying these shitty trap houses and flipping them into these fucking beautiful houses. And the people who lived there the whole time are now being locked out of the place, pushed out. So the same system that once kept these people trapped in those neighborhoods are now pricing them out. They can't even afford to live in the hood no more. Like, the white people are even taking over the hood. Segregation didn't end. It just got built into the housing market and rebranded. And now we've got gentrification, which is like a whole nother issue. Like, and it all stems from the same thing.